Playbook. La, la, la.
All right, welcome into the program. It's Patriots Playbook for a Wednesday. It is October the 23rd as the Patriots get set to take on the New York Jets again at Gillette. I'm John Rook. I a little bit of a different setup today, so I'll apologize off the front for this because for those that are tuning in, Matt knows this, and I'll go ahead and reveal, I guess, what I got cooking today. Some of you who have been a part of this program for a number of years now, since we've been doing this show for, 24 years, remember my son, Austin. He's actually been on this show, periodically throughout the years. He actually, when we first started the show back in the early 2000s, he came on as a sort of a savant, idiot savant, I like to call it, but came on as a savant making picks and things. It was kind of cute for a little kid at the time. Then, of course, I won all those great Father of the Year awards and decided to back off on that a little bit. Anyway, Austin's getting married this week, and I don't know why. I'm not sure why. But he and his fiance roped me into doing the ceremony. So I have a rehearsal to go to this afternoon. So that's basically what we're gonna end up doing here. And so that's why we got a little bit of an abbreviated version of the program today. It's important though that we continue to discuss and talk and go over things, because I'll be honest with you, this whole soft business, I got to admit, I'm just not sure that I'm buying it. I think I know what Gerard Mayo was trying to say. At least I'm of the opinion that Gerard knows what he was trying to say when he used the term soft. Be that as it may, a lot of times things like that can be taken out of context, completely taken out of context. And because of that, I'm not sure that if I were a player, I would be taking that seriously, because I'm trying to concentrate on the game. I'm trying to concentrate on trying to get better. I'm trying to concentrate on winning a football game and performing. And I don't think players really spend a lot of time dealing with that. And I know it seems like, everything gets more magnified when things are going south. And yeah, listen, the first quarter was fantastic, right? The first quarter was fantastic this past Sunday against Jacksonville in London. And then you had, a scripted quarter of play, and then it completely went south, and it went south in literally moments, not even minutes, seconds. And the second quarter was one of the worst quarters I've seen this football team play in 35 years. And it was 22-3 in the second quarter for Jacksonville. And so really what I thought about then, what I think about now, and what I think about needs to happen in the foreseeable future, for this team is first and foremost, calling for Gerard Mayo's firing doesn't make any sense. You're not even in the middle of the season yet, number one. Number two, I think if you're going to charge a guy with replacing somebody who is legendary like Bill Belichick, that you need to give him half a chance to, learn how to coach. Because I don't care how much time you spend underneath him as an assistant or as a player, as Gerard did both. It's a different ball game when you've got the headsets on and you're the one responsible for making all of the calls. It's different. He needs to learn how to be a head coach. Now, I'll agree, the leash is short, and he needs a lot of help. Elliott Wolf has to provide him with that help. His assistant coaches need to provide him with that help. The players themselves need to provide him with that help. I just don't know whether or not we're going to get that quick enough for you or me or the media, especially around here, to be satisfied with that. This is a tough crowd. This is a tough market, tough city, tough town to play in. And when you establish the kind of things that the Patriots have established over the course of the last 30 plus years, really 23 to 25 years, I guess, since Bill Belichick came around, then I can understand why the process is simple, because it's like, well, geez, we did it before. Why can't we do it again? Bill did it. Why can't Gerard do it? He played underneath him. He should know it. Look, these are questions that you can't really answer. So to me, I think that the best gauge here is that, and I know the PU guys were talking about this a little bit earlier in the program today, and I think this is where the PU guys are dead on this, and I've thought this for a while. This process simply has to play itself out. It has to continue to play itself out. It has to continue to work itself out. And then at the end of the season, if this team is 1-16, and I got to admit, this is the first time since this transformation of this franchise that has occurred. This is now the first time following this game this past Sunday in London. This is the first time I've thought that 1-16 is a real possibility. Nobody wants to hear that right now. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody needs to be happy with that. I'm not happy with that. I know you're not happy with that. I can't imagine any Patriot fan would be happy with that. Fans of any other team in the AFC East or anywhere else, or people who have rooted against the Patriots when the Patriots were good, they'd be happy with that. Figure like, hey, this is a comeuppance or whatever. But look, to me, no. If you follow this team at all, you know that you're not happy with that. So when do you pull the plug? When do you decide to move on? And we're not there yet. I would tell you, even if this team does go 1-16, and I believe strongly for this. Number one, we talk about being soft. It's a soft franchise that pulls the plug on its coach 7 or 8 weeks into halfway into a season, especially in his rookie year. That's soft. You want a definition of soft? That's soft. I'm sure we'll spend some time talking about that today. But and I also would deem that unfair. And I realize this is a business, and I realize that we're in a what have you done for me lately world in this business. I understand all of that. But I think if we're going to be fair, then you have to give, when you're really trying to change direction and rebuild, and literally this is a rebuild job, then you have to provide, the right tools to be rebuilt with. And then maybe we can determine whether or not a guy like Gerard is the right architect for that build. And I don't think they've been provided with the right tools yet. And I'm willing to give Elliott Wolf more of an opportunity to do that. I think he deserves that as the primary, player personnel director, GM, whatever you want to call him, with the Patriots. I think he deserves that opportunity. Did he do well this last year for a first shot? You'd have to say nope. There's some definite room for improvement. The fact that they've left the offensive line in the shape that it's in is egregious. But then again, I know some people, I had a couple of friends of mine tell me just the other day, just say, hey, this season's already a bonus for me because of what we've seen of Drake May. Part of the reason why since day one, and you guys who have listened to this show previous to this today, this is where I've stood on Drake May since day one. Play the man. You drafted him, play him. I think you learn better by doing rather than sitting back and paying attention. Well, hey, he sat back for the first 5 weeks. Now he's doing, and he's showing that he has some ability. He just may not have enough, bullets in his holster, in his gun chamber or in his holster. He just doesn't have a whole lot to fire away with right now. And I think that's the biggest concern that we have. So again, this is a long process. And I think you've got to go more than just one half of the first season before we get there. Does that make this any easier to take? No, it does not make this any easier to take. It doesn't. And I will concur with you on that one. It's a what have you done for me lately business. What can you do now for me business? And let's capitalize the word business. Patriots are worth a lot of money. Patriots have a lot of money. They need to spend the money if they want to get the team and the program back to where it's accustomed to have being placed over the last 20, 25 years. They've got a ways to go. And that's going to be up to the Krafts and the Kraft family to understand that, realize that, and then to, pull the trigger on that. And if they're able to do that, and the people that you get in here aren't performing, then that's when you start saying, okay, next up. And I don't think we're there yet. As frustrating as watching that second quarter last Sunday was against Jacksonville, we aren't there yet. All right, coming up in the program, we got a lot of things that we're going to get to, in terms of the softness and all the other stuff that we're talking about. But I will tell you, at least at first, that, oh goodness, now my computer's decided to reset. Hopefully you still got me on the air here. Why does this never happen in the studio? Here we go. All right. This program, Patriots fans, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go places. And of course, our programs here on Patriots.com radio are brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. Open up the phones, 855-PATS-500, 855-PATS 500. The TPX hotline is open and available. Let's go to Trey in Memphis, because Trey, frankly, I'd like to know where you've been, buddy. How's it going?
What's going on, John?
How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. How are you, John?
Everything's good, brother. Everything's good. I'm having a really hard time hearing you, so I'm going to jack all my levels up here, and hopefully we can have a conversation.
All right, can you hear me now?
I've got you. I think it's all on my end, so that's why I'll be able to hear you a little bit.
All right, I hear you very well.
I got you.
Yeah, so John, man, I've been listening. I just haven't been calling, and so I got a new job, so I got new hours, more money. So it's kind of hard to get a chance to call in. So.
Well, I'm glad you took the time, buddy. Was hoping everything was okay.
Oh yeah, man, everything's going well. Like I said, I've been listening, every week, and so it's been a very, very interesting season, John. I didn't have any high expectations, but I damn sure didn't see 1-6.
Well,
right
I knew, Trey, that I thought 1-6 would probably be in the equation. I was, I think, hopeful that this team would figure out a way to win 2 or 3 games out of the first 6. It didn't turn out that way. I would tell you that you could have knocked me over with a feather before the season started if the one win was actually going to be the opener against Cincinnati. I would not have expected that. Right? So, I mean, already it sort of defied expectations, even at 1-6. And I didn't expect this team to be, 4-2, 5-1, or anything like that. I never expected that. I knew that this was going to be a struggle. I was hopeful before the year started that this team would figure out a way to win 4, 5, maybe 6 games. I'm not sure that it's going to be that way. In fact, look, we still got a long way to go, but listen, based on what we saw this last week, does this team look like it could win 3 or 4 games? Nah.
Well, John, I'm going to be honest with you. So when they named Jacoby Brissett the starter, so I really started to say, okay, well, I never felt that he was good, to start off the season.
Yeah.
I mean, we really started off because I always wanted to see the kid. I mean, so, players get better by playing. And I honestly believe that if Drake May would have started the season, I think we would have more than just one win. I mean, because when you look at it, John, I mean, the kid has all the intangibles, and he adds a dimension that as a defensive coordinator that you have to pay attention to. Because the kid is athletic enough to run. I mean, he's not a blazer. I mean, but the kid moves with athleticism. He can make some of those off-the-platform throws. I mean, the kid has a strong arm. I mean, so what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I would tend to agree. That's one of the reasons why I've been calling for him, since week 1, because I thought he gave them the best chance to win. He was the best quarterback coming out of summer camp. And yet they kept saying they were going to bring him along more slowly. And I'm like, well, are we in the business of winning games, or are we in the business of bringing guys along slowly? I wasn't sure what the priority was. And I guess, look, I guess I can understand the bigger picture, but I still think we're in the business of winning games here based on the reactions that I've gotten from fans all over the place, and from people in the media even who are clamoring for, more results one way or the other. It seems to me that we're still in the business of winning games around here, and they can't do it without their best players on the field. And so, yeah, I mean, do I think they could be a little bit better had he started from week one? Possibly. I think it's possible that they could have won, maybe the Seattle game. I think I think they could, maybe the Miami game, certainly, but we don't know for sure. But they could be. I mean, they're 1-6. I think in a best case scenario, this team would be at 3-4. Best case scenario right now. Trey, I appreciate the chance to talk to you a little bit here, buddy. Our buddy Fitzy, a.k.a. Nick Stevens of the Six Rings podcast on WEEI, and a fellow partner in crime at Gillette Stadium for home games, kind enough to join us on the program today. Fitzy, what's up today, my man?
All right, Rook, I got an idea. I think basically considering the way that the season is going right now, I need you to change your signature line, or at least potentially alter it going forward for the rest of the season, okay? So it's going to be...
What am I going to call it now? What am I going to do now?
It's going to be good for another Patriots fan. Extended frown. Because, wow, we got some work to do, man. Well, good to know at least, John, that while it may be a soft football team, you are not a soft analyst, and this is no soft program.
I appreciate that you're saying that. A lot of people think this is a soft program because, we work for the Patriots naturally. But as I've explained, and I started explaining, I think, Fitzy, a couple of weeks ago, when there was some issue, with several in the media, and especially Patriots media, that, the only way that this worked when we started this venture 24 years ago was we had to be reporters. We had to be, opinionators, opinion makers even. And as long as we were not unfair. And I think that we've largely done that. And we can call, the kettle black, and we can call, the rainbows. And there's a lot of things that we can do here. But I think the one thing that fans need, and what we all really need, is a little dose of honesty. And I think, you bring up the soft thing from this past week, and I admit, look, I knew right away what Gerard was saying. Right away, because I've heard coaches talk about, we're soft, we're this, we're, and they're saying that just to get a rise out of their players. That's really why coaches say that. I don't think they really mean that. In fact, I don't think anybody who plays in the National Football League is soft. You can't be soft. If you're soft, you wouldn't be an NFL caliber athlete. So the soft thing, I'm sort of bemused by it. I'm not even amused. I'm bemused, right? And I just, but it just seems like to have taken on a life of its own. And I'm just curious to know what you guys have talked about, not only on the pod, but what you think of the public perception of, the Patriots are soft, they need to get tougher, and maybe they need to start internally by letting a guy like Mayo go. I find the whole thing remarkably ridiculous.
Well, as far as how Gerard Mayo handled the situation in the postgame the last 2 weeks, because obviously we listen to and live by every single word of it between the podcast, doing the live postgame show, and everything that I do down at the stadium in fan service of my favorite football team of Foxborough. Mayo has to be prepared for the blowout and the reaction when he's desperate to try to light a spark or get his team going, so he lobs that flash grenade in the room. Like, you're the head coach. You're not just a defensive play caller. You're not the rah-rah guy. You're not just everybody's bestie or a social media follower. You're the head coach. So when you call for that smoke, you best be prepared for it, not only from your players, but your fan base and one of the most, dedicated, loyal, passionate, and intelligent media bases in all of professional North American sports as well. I understand what he was looking for. I understand what he was saying as well, John. I completely get it. It just feels a little early to go from last week saying, hey, I told the guys they should be disappointed in themselves or that they played like crap, and this week to say, we're a soft football team, because guess who that is a reflection of, John? Or rather, I should be saying, hey, Gerard, Mr. Mayo, Coach Mayo, whatever you want to be called. This is now Thunder Buddy, whatever. Guess who this is a reflection of? For this team to go from week one, take them to the hill with all the ass kicking that took place in Cincinnati, to 6 weeks later, we're a soft football team. I understand that there have been significant injuries, and, a baseball team is going to stink defensively if they lose their starting catcher, starting shortstop, and starting center fielder, which is
right up the middle.
Yep. The Patriots have lost Barmore, Bentley, and Peppers, the strong gut and spine of the defense, and we'll get to other people hopping on the criticism of Mayo and the defense in a second. You've lost the spine and you've lost a lot of the toughness, but who is that a reflection of? I mean, it's obviously a reflection on the coach and the coaches and what they're able to get out of these guys. And if people have already on the team sold off the season and basically decided to make business decisions or emotionally or professionally freelance and not really care, that's a sad indictment of the way that he's able to rally this room together. And, dude, it's not even Halloween.
Which is amazing. So, I mean, I think we realize that there are a lot of extenuating circumstances here, and I think those are the things that we need to remember most as fans, followers, media, whatever. That we thought this defense was going to be good, and you had the middle basically ripped out of it. We thought that the offense could be good, and you decided to sit your rookie quarterback, number 3, draft pick overall, out the first 5 weeks of the season or whatever, it turns out to be. And so it's kind of like, well, then we get back to the whole issue of the plan. I'm not really sure that there ever really was a plan definitively, other than we want to take this thing slowly. But what the taking it slowly did was just accentuate the problems that this team, this roster, the way it was constructed, it's accentuated the problems that it has. And so now it's kind of like, well, we have to be almost defensive now and bring him in because we got nothing, we got no other bullets left in our gun here. And that's where I think the biggest first misstep was taken this year. When you have good players, you need to play good players in this league. And I've been straight about this from day one. People who listen to the show, they know it. If they read what, we talk about on social media or in my column, they know this is the way that I've long thought. And it's only because I've learned one or two things in covering the National Football League for more than 40 years. And the fact of the matter is that when everything is equal, when everybody's got the same amount of talent on their roster, and I think one thing we have discovered is that the Patriots don't yet, as everybody else. But when you do have amongst your starters the same amount of talent, you got to play the guys that can get the job done. And so if you're telling me that you didn't know Drake May couldn't get the job done, then why'd you take him at third? Well, I mean, you needed a quarterback. Well, I don't know. I think that they just miscalculated on Jacoby a little bit. I think they like him. I think they like his toughness. I think he would, accept the role that he was handed. But I got to admit, I'm didn't see anything there. And of course, then when you compound that with, the offensive line and some injuries that they've had, in the running back core and wide receivers that are still having issues. And, Jalen Polk, now he's in concussion protocol this week. And he's had a hard time holding on to the football. And that frustrates a lot of people. And there's no real overt explanation for it other than maybe we just swung and whiffed. And so when are the connections? When are the base hits? We're going to, mix metaphors here. When are those going to start happening? And that's what everybody, I think, is most frustrated about.
Yeah, you were talking to the previous caller, Trey, about, you're pretty sure that this organization and operation is still in the business of winning football games. Let's just get back to being in the business of providing entertaining football games. Because if we're being completely honest, since the Seattle game, a very winnable game, an incredibly winnable game that the Patriots had a chance to start the season mind-blowingly 2-0 on and kind of blew for a number of reasons. I don't even want to go back into the sack and then the blocked field goal and everything else. But, let's go back to the offseason real quick. If you want the receipts or the tape, I'll be happy to dig them up in the digital archives of EEI. But I had opined for not Jacoby Brissett, gladly. I wanted Heave Ho Joe. I wanted old Joe from the Jersey Joe from Jersey off the couch. Joe Flacco would have been the perfect backup quarterback to bring in, who could have helped you win some more football games and at the same time drafted along a rookie. I also was on board, and I'll say this: look who ran the Stefanski / Van Pelt offense to the best it's probably been run in the last 5 years. Joe Flacco, when he came in last year, when Deshaun Watson went down for the season, and he came and he looked awesome all the way up until Cinderella slipper turned into a pumpkin in the wild card game against the Texans, who are kind of a thing now. Flacco would have been perfect. A big arm, and obviously he had a connection with those guys. I think that would have been a better choice. And when it came into the draft, look, we can't, we're only in control of our now and not our back then, but I also wanted them to trade back a little bit, grab a quarterback, maybe not one top 3. And look, Drake May, right now, hey, you could easily say, John, we got a quarterback. All we got to do is surround him with 52 other guys, and we'll have a football team. He's a thing. Drake May is excellent. He's likable. He's affable. He seems unflappable. Not the biggest rah-rah guy in the world, but certainly has a laser rocket arm and a much greater understanding of the offense in the NFL game, which is obviously what had Brian Daboll looking at him the same way that I look at a cold beer and a cheeseburger after every Patriots postgame on a Sunday. We needed some Harbaugh ball. You can't fill the house by starting with the master bedroom and a hot tub. You got to lay a foundation. This is a gut reno. This is a massive rebuild for this team, and to go out and get to go to Jordan's Furniture and Best Buy and get a $5,000 sofa and an 85-inch OLED TV, and then be like, crap, where are we going to put it? Oh, we don't have a house. That's basically what you kind of have now with May. So the kid is terrific. The kid is terrific, but we don't have a foundation. There's no tackle.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's war criminal-esque the way that they went about handling this offensive line in the offseason. I mean, you're up to 12 O-linemen, a 5th left tackle. Chuck's a core for going on, as Crocodile Dundee called it, a walkabout. He might be the smartest guy in New England walking away from.
Right, he got out ahead of the firing squad. Hey, look, but your analogies are spot on. They're funny and they're spot on. I think what we have to realize now is that face it, you effed up. What are you going to do now? And okay. That's kind of where we are with this. And so where do you go from this point forward? You still have your 1-6. You've played 7 games. You have 9 games left to play starting this week against the Jets. And, by the way,
John, nice try. John, nice try. We have 10.
Okay, 10 games left, right? 17 games. That's right. We played 7. We got 10 left. Right. See, it's wishful thinking, Fitzy. It's wishful thinking.
My God.
And the Jets had their best offensive performance of their season, and they're just 2-5. So no matter how bad you think it, there's always somebody out there that always has it worse. You know the old adage, and I kind of feel that's where these two teams are heading into this week's game. That who's going to survive this mess, right? And we learned today that of course they played as well as they could have played, I think, and had their best offensive performance against the Patriots. And of course, then right after that, they fire Robert Saleh. They make the change at offensive coordinator, and now we don't really know yet what we might see of the Jets at Gillette this Sunday, because there was a little bit of an issue with a potential hamstring injury, with Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, I don't know how to keep him out, but I would tell you that, man, how quickly things have changed in a month's time.
Oh my God! Can you believe that Sunday? Maybe it won't be you. Maybe it'll be Sarge on the microphone before the game gets going. Welcome to Gillette Stadium. It's hell in the cellar, as today is a battle between the 1-6 Patriots and the 2-5.
Hell in a cell. Good way to put it. Hell in a cell.
Honestly, it's unthinkable that it would be 1-6 versus 2-5. I'm sure the Jets are stunned as well, because the game 3 on Thursday Night Football, they absolutely blasted the Patriots 24-3. Wasn't even indicative of how far apart the teams were on that Thursday night. And they're a mess now. But you know what? Here's the big difference is the Kraft family, the entire operation and organization needs to stay the course for a while and really do some due diligence and think about some of the fixes that they're going to need to make in season and especially off season, so they don't join the Jets and so much of the rest of the NFL in the dysfunctional morass of reactionary poor ownership. The Jets decided to scapegoat Robert Saleh because, rot comes from the top down and they're just not a poorly run franchise. And have they been any better since? Have they been any better since Todd Downing Abbey decided to become the play caller and not Nate I Can't Hack It? Nope, not in the least bit. They're the exact same team, even after adding Devontae Adams as well. So what the Patriots need to do, two things. One, Alex Van Pelt needs to stop overthinking things. Andy Hart reminded me of this the other day on our podcast, John. Remember back in 2021, the Browns came to town, and the Patriots ended up absolutely waxing them like 38-10, 38-7 in the Mac Jones rookie season. But on the opening drive, Stefanski and Van Pelt were calling plays, and Baker Mayfield was the quarterback. Dearness Johnson was the backup running back. They marched all the way down the field, and ultimately Baker Mayfield threw a touchdown to Patriots tight end Austin Hooper. And what did the Browns decide to do after what they did on the opening drive worked? Well scripted, got away from it through the rest of the game, and the Patriots clobbered them. This is exactly what they did last week in Jacksonville. Nice play action, mixing up all the play calls, letting Drake run the field. They looked awesome those first two drives. And then for some reason, they decided, hey, you know what? This is too easy throwing against the 32nd ranked pass defense in the NFL. Let's start running into the teeth of Jacksonville's strength, which is their rush defense. And then, of course, the levee broke on the other side, and what should have been like a showcase victory for the Patriots turned into another get-right game for a poverty franchise in the face of the Jaguars. Just, go back to 1993-94. If you look back to when other coaches took over, Belichick 2000, Carroll 97. If I were Gerard Mayo and I were given one lifeline, one phone call from jail, which is where he probably feels like he's in right now, I would call Bill Parcells, and I would ask him, what did he do in the face of all the criticism, rebooting the franchise when he had a strong-arm quarterback? Eventually what they decided was, the hell with it. Just grip it and rip it, kid. We need to go back to, 70 pass attempts and the good old days of Jefferson and Brisby, Coates, and Kevin Turner, and just, hang them high and let them fly. At least the fans will be like, you gave us a little bit of a show. I see we have the kid. Hopefully we keep him upright the rest of the way, and that will allow Gerard Mayo to get to work on taking away all the receivers' cell phones and social media accounts, getting the defense to be accountable, no more freelancing, and above all, no more internal criticizing. Say less, do more. I'm right there with you. That's well said, well put. Let's try to have fun with it. Let's not worry so much about the bigger picture. That's for the people who are above our pay grade to worry about. But in the meantime, how do we make chicken salad out of chicken feathers? And that's kind of what we have to, I think we do from this point forward. Well put. Thanks for joining us, bud. Appreciate you jumping in for a little bit today. And go get them. I know I'll see you on Sunday, won't I? Yes, sir. You most certainly will. I'll see you down in the stadium. I'll be on the other side of your voice giving away tickets on the Jumbotron, providing every bit of fan service I can. And if you need to voice your frustrations Sunday after the game, I'll be there with you on the Six Rings post-game show live on WEI. You be good, John. Thanks, brother. There you go. Thanks, man. I got to get a couple of those. Got to get a shot at a couple of those trivia questions that he does for those JetBlue tickets in the stadium. Damn, those are easy questions. I'd like to get free airfare wherever JetBlue flies. Right? Emails coming in, podcasts@patriots.com. Josh sends this note. He says, I, for one, wake up every day thankful that May wasn't a 2021 Pats draft pick. Imagine Joe Judge and Matt Patricia developing our star asset. Sends a shiver down my spine. And while I agree with Paul's point earlier that a season under a bad O-line won't ruin May or potentially lead to a calamitous injury, 2+ seasons with this level of line play would certainly pose a threat to May's development. May's development not being impacted by bad O-line play is predicated on the line improving over time. I agree with that. Bill showed little interest in providing Mac with the requisite line talent. Who's to say he'd act any differently were May were our 2021 pick? That's worth considering. I think that's worth considering here. Let's Sean in Vancouver. Sean, you still on the line, buddy?
I'm here, John. How are you?
Hey, Sean. How are you? Good to hear from you.
Great. It's great to talk to you as always. You're the best. I called into PU yesterday to try and make a kind of an elaborate point, but Paul jumped all over me right before I can really say anything, and he cut me off. I was just mentioning that
Paul jumped on you? Wow.
Oh yeah, he's got his opinions. So, and he knows better than I do, or the official game book, but that's fine. It wasn't really what I was trying to get to. But first of all, for your side, I just want to tell everybody I was wrong. I should not make predictions. You should not listen to me when I make predictions. The Patriots did not win, and they did not come close. So that definitely wrong on that one. My apologies for leading anyone astray. Now, watching the game, I say it's 9. The playbook says it's 9. Maybe it was 5. I don't know. But from my eyes, it looked like the Patriots on first down. Not that I say they shouldn't run the ball. You got to run the ball, but when it's not working, you got to adjust. And they just couldn't run the ball down the middle. It just wasn't working.
Well, the adjustments haven't been there at all. And that's my biggest disappointment with this coaching staff is that, whatever adjustments are being made, they aren't the right adjustments. In fact, you could make an argument that the adjustments that are being made aren't really even being made. I think you can clearly say that with the exception of the first week against Cincinnati, this coaching staff has been outcoached in the other 6 games. And that is fundamentally an issue. It is an issue. And I'm willing to give these guys a little bit of time on this, though, because, again, they're all in positions that nobody has really been in as the number one guy before. So, when it comes to, Alex Van Pelt, and I've known Alex for almost 40 years, since he was in high school.
Yeah.
It comes to DeMarcus Covington, and obviously Gerard Mayo, and everybody else that it is, in between. The positions that they're in mean that there must be results. And so if they're having a hard time adjusting, then they need to understand that if they don't figure it out pretty quickly before this year is over, that when the year is over, there will be an adjustment in personnel on the coaching staff. There has to be. You can get rid of coaches and move coaches around and bring other people in a lot quicker than you can guys who are under contract as players. I think we all understand that. But my issue here is that, okay, when you keep turning this roster over of coaches, it's kind of like what happened with Bill late in his tenure. That didn't help any of these players. It didn't help Mac Jones. And we know it didn't help Mac Jones. So, but you keep doing that, and now you're going to have another voice in somebody else's ear. You're not helping yourself. So this is where leadership at the top needs to know which direction we're going, and we're sticking with it. I don't know that we have that here, and that's my largest concern right now.
Yeah, and it is concern. I mean, people are clamoring for their jobs already, and it's year one. They're rookies in terms of coaching as well. I mean, yeah, Alex Van Pelt has been an offensive coordinator, but I don't think he's had this kind of responsibility in terms of game planning and adjustments before. So they're all learning on the job, and they have to be held accountable. But that doesn't mean they need to be shown the door. They need to just improve, and they need to adjust and fix things. And I can understand why running up the middle, they probably thought that worked. They might have had confidence in it because maybe during the week when they were practicing it worked because the defense couldn't stop the run at all.
Yeah,
and that's a big problem. And when the head coach says they're playing soft, that's on him as well. They're playing soft because you're allowing them to play soft. You got to make that adjustment. You got to do things to help them. You got to. They're running 17 times against you. You have to change the actual defense. Put in a jumbo package after 4 or 5 times. Maybe they'll complete a pass, but at least stop them from doing what's working over and over again. That's just embarrassing, and that doesn't happen.
Good point, Sean. They're coaching soft. You're calling the players soft, but frankly, the coaching is a bit soft because you're not adjusting to the adversity that they're clearly facing out on the field. And so, again, it's all a part of this big learning curve that this brand new coaching staff and these younger players are on. They've got to learn how to adjust. Now, there's enough veteran leadership on this team that should be able to step up. And I know the PU guys were talking about this earlier today as well. We need somebody to step up and say, damn it, this is what we got to go do. And we don't have that right now. We may not have that. It could be Drake May because the quarterback is sort of the de facto leader on a team anyway. But being a rookie, he's gonna defer that to the guys who've been around for a while. You need some of that help. And frankly, the one guy that I think that could make a big difference here, two guys, three guys that can make a big difference here are all the three guys up the middle defensively that are not playing. You can start with Bentley, who normally wears the green dot on the back of his helmet anyway, making the play calls, and then Barmore up front, and then Peppers in the back. Those are the three guys that are tone setters. They're not playing for you right now. That's
and they won't be this year. The hope is, for 2025 with those players, but in the meantime, you got to do something right now. And I don't know if that means bringing in another linebacker, another big nose tackle, or
who are you going to bring in at this stage of the game? Who are you bringing in? Street free agents won't help you any more than what you already have on your roster. That's a common misconception. Oh, bring somebody else in. Well, who? Yeah. Because if they're worth a damn, they're already on somebody else's 53.
Yeah, and the Grey Cup's in 3 weeks here in Canada, and I don't think the CFL is going to really help you on that.
Well, but you would know that. You would know that. Sean, good to talk to you. I appreciate the time today, buddy. As always, thank you. Maureen, we found Russell.
A real woman could stop you from drinking.
It has to be a real big woman.
It's time to go around the NFL with football guru Russell Baxter.
Now on, your name is Flounder.
I'm here.
On Patriots Playbook.
Flounder.
Well, I mean, the subject matter this week, as you know, Russell, has been the Patriots, coaching staff calling some of the players soft, or at least playing soft. I figure you would know soft as well as anybody. And I'm not hearing him at all, Matt. May have to try this again. Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, we lost him. No worries at all. Before we then move on to something else, is Patty and Agawam still on the line? Patty, you there?
I'm still here, Johnny. What's going on?
Hey, buddy. How are you? How's it going?
Going all right. I just wanted to say that I think the narrative around firing Van Pelt, firing Covington, firing Mayo it's all a bit premature. I mean, and just to kind of piggyback off of what Sean in Vancouver said, they're all doing this for the first time, and they have a rookie quarterback. Everything is all brand new. I mean, I don't know about you, but barring some kind of crazy scandal, this team just gets a free pass, at least for me, for the year, because I knew going into the season that they probably weren't going to be very good. It probably wasn't going to look very good to start off, but it kind of did. And I just, the thing I've been consistent with, and I think some of the guys in PU have said this, and I believe you said this too, you just want to see sort of steady progress to close out the season, get a little momentum going, and then hopefully you're in good enough position to take a blue chip impact player at one of the positions of need in the draft this coming year.
Yeah, we're so anxious for this stuff to happen now because we're always, what have you done for me lately, society here. And because we're so unused to, the things that have transpired here, people don't realize that, I'll steal a well-worn cliche here, but, Rome wasn't built in a day. I think that even the Patriots back, when Bill Belichick first came here, they weren't built in a day or even a year either. It took them the better part of 2 full seasons before you kind of started seeing things roll out. It took them all of 2000 and most of 2001. You remember, the game at Foxborough Stadium. They played, the Rams at the time and lost to the Rams. It dropped them to 5-5, and then they ended up ripping off 6, 7, 8 games in a row, 9 games in a row, whatever it was. to ultimately, beat the Rams in the Super Bowl that year. But I'm just saying, there was no previous indication that kind of performance was going to happen. So I think what we have to do is just figure out a way where we can start. And I think the start happened a couple of weeks ago when they finally inserted Drake May into the lineup. Now we need to find something else that will kickstart it. And unfortunately, when you get to week 7, week 8 now in the regular season, you also have injuries that you have to deal with because it's a long season and rosters are just not as deep as you would like them to be. And so on defense, which we thought would be a strong point for this team, you're kind of starting over and other guys are having to step into the fray. Now they're going to have to play. So you at the very least, will learn who can play for you in a pinch and who can't, who should be a part of your rotation, and maybe who you should try to move on from and look for more help in the next offseason. So there are small things that you can do. As bad as it was last weekend in London, I'm still thinking, well, at least, we know what can happen if we're playing these guys, or we know that this guy can't play in this situation, or we know that Gerard Mayo and or his staff need help in making adjustments. I mean, we're able to figure things out. So as we're figuring things out, it may not be a positive, but at least we're moving upward. We're figuring things out, and that's how you get it. It's taking small steps closer to where you want to be in terms of being competitive or even a playoff team.
Couldn't agree more. And I got a question. Just one more question, John, and I'll give you my prediction for Sunday. Do you think they should let Polk sit for like a week or two to collect himself and give Javon Baker a chance? Because personally, I would like to see them give him a chance, And
I agree.
Polk, I mean, I don't know if he's just overconfident or just has delusions of grandeur, but like maybe I agree. I mean, if you're going to say you have the best hands in the league, go out and prove it.
I agree 100%. I think they should probably give him that kind of an opportunity to do that. And if they're able, to sit him, and they may be doing that anyway because of the concussion protocol this week. So we don't know how he's going to end up. But I think you need to start learning who on this roster can help you before you start going through your wholesale fire, your wholesale fire sale changes. Okay. All right. Patty drop. My apologies, gang. My apologies. Things seem to be kind of, pieced together here. My own computer in my own studio here. All right. Did you say Russell was back?
Yes, he is.
Hopefully. Yes, hopefully.
I'm here. Your phone lines are soft.
There he is. I think I have you now.
Your phone lines are soft.
Anybody there?
I'm here.
There you are. Okay, gotcha. I got you. Yes, I got you. Thank you.
867-5309.
Man, you would think this country put a man on the moon over 50 years ago. And we can't pull this off. This is all on my end too. So I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out. Matt, was kind enough to do this for me because I've got my son's wedding rehearsal to get to later today. So that way it would make it a little bit easier for me to kind of get back and forth from the places that I need to be later this afternoon. And I probably created more problem than we have here. But I appreciate your sticking with me, buddy. Thank you.
I think your phone lines are soft. I think that's the big problem here. So.
Might be. We've had those issues as well, all over the place. All right, so go ahead.
You asked a question about soft, and that's whatever. So how are you? And congratulations, by the way. That's more important than anything.
Right? I know. Well, I think we're all a little soft around the middle at this stage, but I know you've heard coaches criticize players many times over the years, and some of them go about it a bit differently than others. It's been in the past, though, I think when you call somebody soft, it's almost like a slap in the face, right? And I'm wondering, though, if you've ever been around a coach or a coaching staff that really meant that, other than to just kind of, hey, remind them why they're here to do the job they're supposed to do.
Listen, everybody, there are so many different motivational tactics. And, you were mentioning Coach Parcells earlier when I was listening and so on. And I just kind of laugh at some of the stories I've heard from him. And actually, I was in a room the first time I ever met him when he was Giants head coach. And it was his fourth year there in 1986, and they would eventually go on to win the Super Bowl that year over the Broncos. And we were in a press conference, and this is kind of what you're talking about. Somebody in the media asked him a question and said, what does this preseason game mean to you against Atlanta this week? And he simply said, well, if we win, you guys will write it's just a preseason game. And if we lose, you guys will write what's wrong with the Giants.
Right.
Okay? Right. And same thing, there was also a story about, now again, not softness, but motivating. The Dolphins were playing the Giants 1990, week 3 at MetLife Stadium. Dan Marino, obviously one of the quickest releases in history. Coach goes over to Lawrence Taylor before the game and says, no one ever sacks this guy. You just do the best you can, and walks away from him.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think, we've seen coaches, that's a little unusual. Coaches are I think, usually of the opinion that there has to be some kind of bluster in what they have to say, and they got to come with a little fire and brimstone or whatever it is, like the fiery sermon on a Sunday or whatever. But in reality, I'm not so sure that players react to that, maybe like they did back in the day of, I don't know, George Halas, Vince Lombardi. I think the game has changed a little bit, largely because this is a full-time job for players now, and so they know that pressure is already intrinsically upon them.
Well, I think it's also the power structure, John, in the NFL and pro sports has changed. Okay? Professional players are now empowered. Dare I say, even college players are empowered. Okay? So, I think they're not as reticent to hearing some of this stuff. Now, I always find it funny because I hear as much soft talk from fans in the media. And, I spend all my days looking up the fans in the media who call people soft, and I can't find any of their NFL statistics. It's mind-boggling because I could have sworn they played the coach. But I just don't think that works anymore. I just think it's a different era. And it's also, and dare I say, the NFL is not as physical as it was 20, 30 years ago. It just isn't. Okay? So players have learned to take care of themselves. They've learned to take care of their bodies. They've learned to take care of their heads. And the NFL waited an awful long time before they started looking out for the players' heads as well. So, soft, I just don't think it has the same bite that it has. I think before a player might be, and I can't speak for all players, but, a player might be insulted. It's almost like a challenge to their manhood. Now I think it's, they probably may look at their teammates and roll their eyes and go,
Yeah.
So, but I get it. I understand
very
what
true.
they're saying. But it's not, this is, I want to say this the right way. As physical as this league can still be, it's more physical, like almost with individual hits, if you know what I mean. In other words, we still see some head-banging hits, illegal or penalty-wise and so on. We don't see the grinding type of defensive fronts and offensive fronts that we saw back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and pretty much think about the last great, this is just my opinion, the last great mauling offensive line in this league. I think you would have to say the early 90s Cowboys.
Yeah, you might be right about that. We got just
good offensive lines, but as far as like big behemoths, Eric Williams, Kevin Gogan, Mark Stepnoski for a little bit, Larry Allen eventually, and so on. Those were, if those guys are the 5 bouncers in the bar, you better behave.
Yeah, exactly. That was a dominating line, speaking of lines. All right, I got just a couple of minutes left here today, Russell, but I wondered if you might offer a thought on, a 2-5 team against a 1-6 team when the Jets come to play the Patriots this week. And of course, the Jets are going to be under an interim coach. They might have a gimpy 40-year-old at quarterback. We still think that they have a decent defense, but they've been pummeled the last couple of weeks. I mean, if you're the Patriots, you can't go really anywhere but up. Is this an opportunity for both teams this week to sort of, start bailing water out of the boat, I guess?
Well, listen, we already saw earlier in the day, John, what the Tennessee Titans are doing. Are they the Titans or the Titanic? They just traded DeAndre Hopkins and Ernest Jones away. And they're off to a 1-5 start. They're playing Detroit this week. That should be fun. Listen, that this division, and it's funny. Buffalo at times looks like Buffalo, and then at times they don't look like the team that's won the division 4 straight years. Okay, now the Jets obviously blew a golden opportunity to beat them, and so did the Dolphins. They had them both at home and let those games get away from them. Okay? So, and let's be honest about the entire division. Buffalo's got 5 wins. The other 3 teams have 5 wins. So I think it is an opportunity. You've got to keep on trying to win these divisional games. I know the Jets beat them on the Thursday night back in week 3. You have to go back some time before the last time the Jets have swept them. They have beaten the Patriots 2 times in a row after losing, 15 in a row? So the Patriots, to me, at times look spunky, okay? But at the same time, the way they let that game get away from them last week, and by the way, they weren't the only team that had like a significant lead in the first half and they just watched it flitter away. The Jets did that last week. Tennessee did that last week. Tampa Bay did that last week. The Dolphins did that last week. It was always kind of weird trend. No, they have to come out and listen. I don't think a 2-5, even with their defense, which was a little banged up at Pittsburgh on Sunday night, I think the Jets are scaring anyone. Okay, no one. In fact, we see glimmers from Baltimore. Even the Chiefs are not scaring anyone, even though they've won 12 in a row. Okay, their defense is ahead of their offense, and it probably has been for over a year. So if you're New England, you get a chance here to split with the Jets. And I'm not sure what's going on with the Jets. I think it's too simple to point to Aaron Rodgers this and Aaron Rodgers that. Here's what I know. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2010. That's not all Aaron Rodgers. That's bad management. And you guys were talking about bad management. This is a poorly run team. Okay? Think about this perspective. The last time the Jets were in the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl with the Packers. That's
correct. You are correct about that one. That is absolutely correct.
Every team, I think, is pretty much fair game. Okay? It just is. That's just how the league is. Some people were trashing the Ravens after 0-2. Now all of a sudden they're 5-2 and red hot, and so on. It takes a little time to form out what exactly you're going to be, and so on. And we saw it with Tampa Bay 4 years ago. If you can get in, God knows what can happen.
Yeah. Russell, I thank you for the quick stop today. Greatly appreciated. We'll be back, I think, closer to a little normal schedule for you next week. So thank you, man. I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
No problem. Let me know when the wedding date is, so I want to be able to catch the bouquet.
Wedding date is actually tomorrow. And so as someone who's officiating, I've got to be there for the rehearsal. So that's kind of the problem.
Now I got you. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
That's part of it. So, but thank you, my friend. Good to talk to you as always.
You too, sir.
All right. Thanks. Quick reminder. Shall we do a quick reminder? Yeah, I think we need to do a quick reminder here really quickly. Quick reminder going quickly. What else would we do, right? Now, see, it's already, okay. One of those kind of things. Maureen, you're a saint for putting up with this today, so thank you for that. I do want to remind everybody, of course, of our sponsors. And, of course, when you wake your computer up from a deep sleep, you get a million different things waving in at you, which is usually what happens. But whether you're prepping this week's game day snack spread or already getting ready to host Thanksgiving dinner, Bob's Discount Furniture can help you. First move is to play the Bob's Dare to Compare Challenge. Shop the party-ready Mango Dining Collection. After all, what's more winning than snagging a stylish Mango's high-quality solid wood construction for hundreds less than the competition? See how much you can save when you dare to compare with Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. And, of course, with football season here, Sullivan Tire and Auto Service kick things off in a big way with our exclusive Go Pats tire sale now through October 31st. So we're coming up on that. Score big with incredible savings on Bridgestone tires. Save $100 instantly with a purchase of 4 eligible Bridgestone tires. And Bridgestone, the official tire of the New England Patriots. See sullivantire.com for complete details, and go Patriots. All right, there we go. That's it. Shortened version today. So I can make sure that my son actually doesn't back out of his wedding. Our thanks to Russell Baxter and to Nick Stevens for joining us. Thanks for putting up with this one today. We'll be back in the studio next week, same Pat's time, same Pat's channel. Patriots Jets Sunday 1:00 at Gillette. Yeah, we'll be there. Hope you will be too. We'll talk about it next week. Thanks.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.